Right, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another video. This is a special one. Some of you may know I celebrated a birthday this week. I turned 23 years old, and in celebration of my birthday, I wanted to come on here and I wanted to make a video of kind of recapping the year and in remembrance of everything I've learned and kind of experienced. It was a new year for me. A lot of change, a lot of firsts, and I learned a lot about myself this year. So I wanted to come on here and make a summary of my year. Essentially, that's what this is. So let's just go ahead and jump right into it. The first thing that I learned this year is that family matters. Family is so important. The support systems you have are crucial for my success. I have nothing but amazing things to say about my family, my parents, my brother, the unwavering faith they have in me instills this bulletproof confidence and charisma in me that's able to show. I mean, they planted the seed. Now it's starting to flower. You know, if I'm ever feeling down or if I'm in a rut, I have them to fall back on, and they energize me, they charge me up and allow me to actualize my potential, and I love them for that. I'm so grateful to have such a loving support system. And along with this, I will put in my closest friends. I love them to death. They know who they are. Having a tight-knit group of friends is also crucial. And I realized how crucial it was this year when I kind of moved away, and we stayed tight, and I love that. I love them for that. And it just made me realize how important it really is. And to have this group of friends, we banter, we joke, we horse around, whatever. But we also push each other. We motivate each other to be better, whether that's consciously or subconsciously. It's a male thing to want to be as good as the people around you. And we do an excellent job of pushing each other. We uplift each other, but we make sure we get it all out of each other. And I think that's awesome. I'm so thankful for the group of friends that I have. I love each and every one of them to death. So that's the first thing that I reflected on, is how important it is to have people that care about you around you, and to care about your peers and your family. And
turn it off. I want to see it.
I just can't say enough good things about the people around me.
I probably shouldn't have worn sandals.
I didn't bring
You ever got a hose?
The next thing I had was how important it is to take care of yourself. And I realized how much better I am when I take care of myself. I've always been a fit guy. I always worked out, whatever, always lifted weights. But there are times, I talked about it last episode and probably episodes before that, where there's just these periods of burnout where I have these peaks and these valleys where it rises and falls and blah blah blah. But really staying consistent with working out this year has made a noticeable difference. Finding ways to stay consistent, keep it novel, so I'm not getting bored with it. That's been a fun challenge, to find new ways to keep it fresh. And one of those ways is I've gotten a lot more into cardio training, like running, swimming, biking, things like that, to allow me to exercise. But when I'm not feeling lifting weights, I can still stay active. I've really fallen in love with running. I can throw swimming in this category too, but really with running, I feel like it teaches me a lot about myself. How do I respond in moments of hardship when I'm really pushing myself? How do I respond? Do I run from it? Do I cower? Do I quit? Or do I push through and persevere and prove to myself that I can do hard things? I think that's one of my favorite parts about running, is finding out who you really are. And another thing, a little more philosophical side of things, I think it's running is almost meditative. And when you don't have fucking EDM or house music blaring in your ears, you have a podcast or you have nothing, and it allows you to think, and it allows your mind to just work and untangle some of the things that may have been tangled up in there. And I've seen this firsthand. I'll have revelations when I'm running, you know, thoughts I couldn't articulate or I just couldn't place. They're in there, but I just couldn't find the words to express them. I'll find it on a run. I'll be like, that's what I meant to say. And it's beautiful when these things come up. And again, one of my favorite parts about running. Swimming could do that too. I mean, your mind just kind of shuts off when you swim. It's just you in the water and one stroke after the next. Love it. Amazing. I'm glad I really started taking my health. This is probably the most serious I've taken it this year, and this is the best I felt. And I don't think there's any surprise to that. Along with that, I've grouped into this eating better and my diet. I made a conscious effort to clean my diet up this year, mainly whole food based diet, eating real foods, not this ultra processed crap, fast food bullshit, whatever. I will still indulge from time to time. Don't get me wrong. I'm not perfect. Nobody is. I will still eat the fast food junk. I don't care. Sue me. It's good. But I don't eat it nearly as much as I used to. And I feel great. I feel awesome. And I've noticed when I've cut a lot of this crap out, I don't crave it as much. I remove that stimulus from the feedback loop, and it's suppressed it essentially. When you take it away, you don't crave it as much. You crave real food. I'll have fruit and I'll be like, this is the best thing I've ever tasted. I don't crave the chips and the candy and shit like that. It just doesn't appeal to me as much as it used to, because I've cut it out and I've rewired how my brain interprets reward. That's the nerd way to say it, but the point still stands, is cut the shit out and replace it with nutrient dense food that tastes good. And that's what I've done, and my body feels great. Another thing I've done is I'm not drinking as much. I drink once a month maybe, and that coupled with the reduction in junk food and processed food it's stabilized my mood and my energy and my hormones and everything. I just feel so much better across the board because I've cleaned up my diet. I've taken care of myself. Exercise, food, inputs equal outputs. What you put in, you get out, essentially. You are what you eat, and I'm taking care of that now. When I wasn't in the past, I was wondering, why am I not seeing any results? And I'm eating like shit, and I'm sleeping like shit, and I'm drinking like a fish, and no kidding, you're not going to see any results because you're just putting a bunch of crap in your body, my body, and it's unbelievable the difference that I have seen between now and 6 months ago, when I was, or a year ago, when I was putting a bunch of crap in my body. And I'm glad I made the change, because I don't think I'll ever go back. I've seen the light. I've been converted. I don't think there's any way I could live myself if I go back to eating and drinking the way that I was. Another thing I reflected on that I made a big change this year is some mental frameworks of mine have shifted, and I've really fallen in love with the mental game and the mental side of life. You guys know this by now. This kind of stuff just lights me on fire. I love it. I love practicing it. I love absorbing it, reading about it, listening about it. I love practicing what I preach on here. I love to just do it all, and I want to talk about it more. I want to help people go through what I went through and am going through, and articulate it and help people understand it and put it in actionable words. That's the stuff that lights me on fire. I love it. I'm convicted by it. I'm so passionate. I've really fallen in love with it this year. And one of the biggest shifts I made was becoming process oriented rather than results oriented. I know I've talked about this before, but I really just want to hammer it home because I'm so convicted by this. And when we are results oriented, we're kind of living in this pass fail system where if we get the result we want, we're happy, and if we don't, then we consider it and ourselves a failure. It's kind of a binary way of thinking, and it's archaic. It fails to consider the possibility of growth even though you didn't necessarily achieve the outcome you wanted. Now, I was always taught that you either win or you learn. There's no such thing as a loss. There's no such thing as a failure. The only failure is failing to commit, to fully apply yourself to something when you know you should. In my eyes, that is a failure, but there's no such thing as like a result that is a failure. There's always something to take from every experience. You can take this and you can apply it to something else. I think there's infinite wisdom in that, and there's always something you can latch onto and use in the future. So when we are process driven, we fall in love with the details, with the little things we do right, the daily things that often go unnoticed. We focus on these and we do everything right, and the big picture stuff takes care of itself. We take care of the quantity, and the quality down the road is taken care of, right? So when we fall in love with this process, we love it, we live it every day, we're convicted by it, we're on fire by it, right? I mean, if you do something that doesn't light you on fire, then you're gonna have a hard time falling in love with the process, and you're just gonna resent it, and you're gonna resent yourself, and you're gonna resent everyone around you, and then in turn they can sense that and they start resenting you. It's just a bad pattern to fall into. So when you are in love with the process, you have no problem putting in effort. You do it, well, you don't even think about it. You run to the challenges rather than running away from them. You don't shrink from them. You sprint towards them because you're so in love with the process. You love what you do. You want to take on these challenges. You want to tackle them head on, and that just doesn't happen when you're not fully convinced of the process. We've got this idea that the workmanship means more than the craft. This is a quote from Ryan Holiday, and I think this quote just perfectly embodies what it means to be in love with the process, to be process driven rather than driven by the results. Because the results might always be there, right? You know, things happen, you get unlucky, whatever, things don't go your way. But if you can take care of the little things, then no matter what, down the road, it takes care of itself. So the workmanship means more than the material, right? The process means more than the outcome. I love it. I think about it often, and it's a fantastic quote. Another idea that I've been reflecting on this year, and this kind of goes hand in hand with what we were just talking about previously, but it's the idea that you will always get out of life what you put in. The inputs are always directly correlated to the outputs. You know, the results you get are directly correlated to the efforts that you put in. If you're doing everything you can, day in, day out, you're destined to succeed. If you're taking care of everything you can possibly take care of, I think the outputs will take care of themselves. It's something I strongly believe. I'm also a strong believer of the opposite. If you're not doing everything you can, if you're letting life pass you by, if you're lazy, you're unperturbed, you don't care, then these results are not just going to fall into your lap. You have to go get them. It requires effort and intention. We need to have the courage to look at life through the lens of wanting to go and take what we want, to be able to curate the life that we want. A lot of people don't have the courage for that. They lack the understanding and the courage to understand what it takes to build the life that they want. It's either that or they are they're too lazy and they're undisturbed, and they think it's cool to not even try, to take this indifferent stance. The irony of that is it is cool to try, and people don't perceive you as cool for not trying. They perceive you as lazy or maybe even insecure, right? Because you're scared to go after what you really want. So it is cool to try, and it's cool to go after what you want, and fortune favors the bold, right? And people who put themselves out there, without fear of ridicule or judgment. This is who life favors, essentially. To put in effort means we actually care about our process, right? We care about what we do and who we affect, right? So have the courage to take the reins and curate the life that you want. That got a little tangential, but I don't care. You know, this kind of thing lights me on fire. I love to talk about it. So forgive the tangent, but we're back on track here. The next thing I have been reflecting on this year is spending more time in the real world and less time on our screens. Okay? I mean, the distractions, they're easy, they're prevalent, they're cheap, and they're time consuming. It's an easy way to hide from what we actually need to be doing, from the real work, right? We can sit on our phones and we can scroll for hours without even realizing where the time has gone. And this has been a problem of mine for a while. It's been my kryptonite for some time now, and it took some courage on my end to analyze this and come to this conclusion, because we are loyal to our distractions. I've talked about this before. We're loyal to the things that are convenient and comfortable and safe. It's the things we immediately turn to in boredom. These are the things that we need to give up in order to create more time for the things that actually matter. So how am I giving up my phone? How have I been working on this? I have a couple rules. I don't use it an hour after I get up. I just leave it on the charger. I don't use it an hour before bed. I don't multitask with it. If I'm making dinner, I don't have a video playing. If I'm doing something on TV, I'm not scrolling also. I'm focused on one thing and one thing only. My attention is there and it's present. It's not divided between 47 different things. Also, probably the hardest thing for me to work on this was not watching YouTube or anything while I'm eating. That is the hardest thing I've found to do, because that's been a habit of mine for years. And realizing how long it takes me to eat dinner because I'm just sitting there on my phone, it is so time consuming. It's time consuming. It was eye-opening when I took stock of the situation. I realized how much time I was wasting on these meals, just bent over the table scrolling my phone when I'm done with dinner 20 minutes ago. You know, so making sacrifices like that and giving up things that were holding you down, you know, burn those distractions, get rid of them, and it gives you so much more time to pursue actual things rather than just waste away your evening on your phone. That's something I have been thinking about. Spending more time in the real world, right? Get off your phone. I've been going on more walks. I love it. I love going on a walk, either with a podcast or with nothing. It's just me and whatever thoughts come up. You know, I think about where I'm at, where I want to go, what's happening right now, and I let the thoughts come in. I don't attach myself to them. I'm an observer of thought. I don't emotionally identify with anything that comes up. I merely observe. No thought comes in unobserved, but every thought leaves unattached. And I think it's very constructive, and it kind of shows me where my headspace is at, whether there's work to be done or whether I'm in a good place. And it's eye-opening, and I really enjoy it. And, you know, get your steps in too. It's a habit I've really tried to hammer down this past 6 months, and I think it's done wonders for me physically and mentally. Along with this, I've been reading every chance I get. I know I've mentioned this before, you guys know this. I'm an avid reader. I love to read. I think there's so many benefits to reading, right? In the age of scrolling and cheap dopamine, I think our attention spans are getting fried. It's hard to focus on one thing when all this short form content is like we're scrolling every half second looking for something new. It just nukes our attention span. And so reading a book helps us in this war of our attention span, helps us to reclaim it. You know, I think being able to absorb ourselves in story undistracted, I think it's a lost art, and it's one I really enjoy diving into recently. I've just been reading every chance I get. It helps me stay off my phone, helps me reclaim my attention span. I feel like I'm more articulate. I have a bigger vocabulary to choose from. There's 1,000 different benefits, and it helps me fall asleep at night when I'm not on my phone. I'm reading before I'm in bed. I just read till I can't keep my eyes open. I roll over and fall asleep. It's that simple. I love it. I love every second of it. Something I'm strongly convicted by is everybody should read more. I think everybody should write more too. I'm not gonna beat this drum again. I talk about this probably every video. I talk about the importance of writing and fleshing out your thoughts. And if you have an idea, you should write it down. Otherwise, it's gone, never to be found again. Everybody should write more. Everybody should do this practice called morning pages. I didn't think of this. This comes from someone other than me. I'm just a vessel, right? Morning pages. You wake up in the morning and you sit down and you write. Even if you have nothing to say, just start writing, and whatever comes up, just run with it. And it fleshes out what's going on up here, and it shows you your thought processes, if they're messy, if they're clean, right? It's very illuminating. And I used to, it was hard for me to get in the habit of writing. I didn't know how to do it. I was scared of it, honestly. I was scared of what would come up. But now I look forward to it. I look forward to writing every day. And it's amazing how that shift has occurred. And I'm hoping that shift can happen with everybody. So that is the conclusion of this reflection, my 23 years around the sun. Hope you guys got some value from this. I know I did. When I'm recording this, I wrote an essay as well. It's on my Substack. You should check it out. I will link it in the description. But writing that essay and recording this really, really kind of brought a lot of clarity to this year. And I just kind of sat and I thought about how much I have changed this year, and how different I am now to how I was 5 years ago, and how different I'll be 5 years from now. And I'll look back on myself now, and hopefully I'll be much improved in a lot of these categories. It'll be interesting to look back on. I think that's the goal, is to outwork your future self, and to set your future self up for success. My dad would always say, never put off for tomorrow what you can do today. And that just runs through my head all the time. Just always, you have the foresight to do now what you wish you would have done, right? If you're in the future, you wish you would have done something. Have the foresight to see that and do it. Don't put it off, right? I'm going on a tangent again. I'm supposed to be wrapping up, but I'm just so fired up. I'm on one today. So thank you guys for watching. If you found any sort of value in this, like, subscribe, drop a comment if you want to see me cover any topics of your choosing. I would love to. If not, man, thanks for watching. Check out that article on my Substack. I'll link it in the description. Peace, man. Thanks for listening.